Hey, you. Yeah, you. Welcome to the Malaka podcast. Will Toronto ever see a championship again? I have no idea. It could happen, but then again, it may not happen. It always seems like Toronto always gets so close, and then when we get there, it just kind of fizzles, or we kind of give up halfway through, or LeBron James is in town. I don't know. Something just seems to happen. I don't know. Growing up in Toronto, we basically had, or still have, four major sports teams: the Toronto Argonauts, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Toronto Raptors, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. These are the four teams I grew up more on. Now, obviously, we got the Marlies and Toronto FC. I'm just going to focus more on these four guys because these are the guys I grew up with and the major points of sports entertainment in Toronto. Now, why can't any of these guys win a championship? I mean, obviously, they have in the past, but will that happen again? I don't know. Who knows? Is it that people hate Canada? Maybe they hate the fact that Toronto has all this success and, people are finally realizing it. Maybe people are jealous that people are finally recognizing Toronto as a big threat in the sports entertainment world and they want to do everything they can just to shut us down. I don't know. Let's start with the Argos. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a big football fan, CFL, NFL. I watch the Super Bowl every year. That gives me an excuse to get drunk. Other than that, I don't really care. Football is kind of a slow-moving game to me. It's not as slow as baseball, obviously, but, I never saw it that big of a deal. CFL, football, it's still a tough sport. You got to get in there. You got to be mentally tough. You got to be able to remember a lot of plays when you're on the field. Things can quickly change up in a blink of an eye. I mean, the Argos, I really don't have anything bad to say about them. I mean, the biggest thing I always remember about the Argos is Doug Flutie. And later on, he went to go play for the Buffalo Bills. And then Fruity Flakes came along, and, that's it. I mean, it's more of a Canadian pastime. Will Toronto ever see an NFL franchise? I don't know. I mean, there was a rumor there for a while that the Buffalo Bills might sell their team. And I think Bon Jovi swooped in there and wanted to buy it or something like that. I don't know. I personally don't care, to be honest. I honestly don't think that financially Toronto will be able to handle an NFL team. I don't. I mean, it's either that or the Raptors got to give up a piece of their property, or the Leafs. I mean, because they're almost $1 billion franchises, and I just don't personally see it happening. I mean, we got to think of like getting sponsors and, oh yeah, and there's that big thing that people are going to want to actually come here to play. They're going to actually have to put up with the cold weather, of course, the taxes, which seems to be a struggle for all of our other teams, especially basketball. And personally, I just don't see it happening. Every time, I think of the Argos. I think of back in the day where John Candy and Wayne Gretzky were part owners, and they were able to win a championship. And we won a couple years ago as well. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Again, I'm not a big football fan. Maybe it's just me, but I just don't see it as being that as a exciting sport as it once was. I follow a little bit of the NFL, but it's not even that. I don't know. You know, I wish the Argos all the best. I really do. Hope everything works out. I mean, they're not making millions of dollars like people in the NFL. I actually worked one time with an ex-Argo. He told me he was a player in the late 70s, early 80s, and I'm not going to lie to you. He was pretty much retired. You still got to, look for work after. I remember one shift he was just sitting down eating an ice cream bar, and he was a really big guy. I mean, he looked like I don't know, like picture a 6'7" rectangle. He was a big motherfucker, and he had like big square glasses. Just he had that very like old school look. He was just sitting down eating an ice cream bar, and he was just kind of sad and thinking to himself, I guess, like how did I end up here? And I don't know. I mean, so the CFL players compared to the NFL, it's a totally different ballgame. It's almost like a part-time job in many ways. So I don't know. I really don't have anything bad to say for the Argos. I just wish them all the best. I hope everything is good in the future. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my 1, 2, 3 Argos. Toronto Blue Jays. Boy, it has been a roller coaster ever since 92, 93, huh? Well, winning back-to-back World Series is. That was a great time to be a Blue Jay fan. I mean, it really was. I mean, we had great players like Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar. All those guys were just like legends. Like if you grew up in Toronto, I mean, again, I wasn't a big baseball guy, but of course, I mean, early 90s, you had to follow the Jays. It was awesome. And then I remember in 94, what was it, the Montreal Expos, I think they were rumored to actually win, and they didn't, and I think it was affected because of the baseball strike, and ever since then, they pretty much fell apart. They ended up losing their franchise. And I don't know. You gotta wonder, like, is this a anti-Canadian thing? I mean, me personally, I'm always surprised when a Canadian franchise wins anything over an American franchise. A lot of people like, oh, it's bullshit. Oh, it's nothing but conspiracies. I mean, is it though? I mean, like you gotta wonder yourself. Like, I mean, like not only did we win 1 year in a row, we won 2. I mean, was this I don't know. And then ever since then, have we really done anything? I mean, we made it to the playoffs a couple times, but other than that, that's it. I mean, we've had great players. Again, I'm not the biggest baseball fan. I probably can't name. I can name a couple people from this year's roster. Other than that, I mean, I think we're a decent team. It seems like the past couple of years, we always have a problem with our pitching. And we've always had a lot of injuries, and it's just been cursed for a very long time. I mean, and now recently one of our pitchers is accused of assault, and I don't know. It seems to be an ongoing thing with our pitchers. I mean, if you pitch a baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays, chances are something really bad is going to happen to you. So, it's not really much else to say there. I mean, we could win another franchise. Again, it is an American pastime, baseball. I mean, we're the only team in Canada now since the Expos, screwed that up in the mid 90s, and it basically just all falls on us. That's why we got a Canadian red maple leaf on our jersey, because we're literally the only Canadian team. Are we going to get another Canadian team? Probably not. I mean, there's a rumor that we might get Montreal back, but I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we just got to worry about the Jays staying afloat, But I mean, everywhere I go, I mean, like people are always looking forward towards Jays games. It seems to be more like me personally. Like what I've seen over the years is it's more of a an older generation thing. I would say from 50s, 60s, the 70-year-olds like love the Jays, and it's become more of a millennial thing. I think over the years because it's just cheaper to go to. I mean, I'm assuming I'd probably go to a Jay game. Like, how much is like maybe for a cheap seat? Like, I don't know, 30, 40, $50. I mean, chances are the seventh, eighth inning, and nobody gives a shit anymore. So you can just walk right down and see if you can find an empty seat. I mean, they just want to see seats filled for the cameras. So it's actually cool. Yeah, I mean, you make a good day of it. Saturdays, it's more afternoon games, like 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, stuff like that. Make a good day of it. It's like I said, it's way cheaper. You're downtown, and afterwards the game's done, you can go out drinking with your buddies, hang out, make a good day of it. It's fun. They seem to be making a good amount of money, and like anybody knows, if you go down there, you're gonna spend a lot of money on like food, and you're gonna spend what $12 for a pack of M&Ms, whatever. So I mean, they're definitely making their money. So again, if they're making their money, like what's the purpose of them getting more good players and a championship? I mean, they almost got us. I mean, we're gonna keep going down there, watch the games. I literally have not been to a J game since Cal Ripken played. I remember that he played his last 3 games here. Me and my dad went, and we went to the second last game. I remember it was like the bottom of the 8th or something. I remember like people were just going nuts. They actually had to call timeout. Cal Ripken tipped his hat. He's a very old school, classy player. So always remember that. Me being a bigger guy, I did not appreciate sitting that long in a hard plastic seat, especially when there's no elbow room. I can't believe I can't be the only person to ever complain about the seats at the Sky Dome there. I don't know. I don't know. Again, my dad always said the best seats are at home, and I totally agree with him with that. But it's good to go out sometimes and just see a game, I guess. I don't know. In my case, every once every 20 years, and yeah, like I said, they're making a lot of money. So what is the purpose of them getting more good players? There's no real point. But they might see a championship one day. I mean, assuming everybody stays healthy and everybody plays, the 160 whatever games they put. That's another thing. I mean, the season just goes on forever and ever. I mean, like, are you gonna watch a Jays game? No, I'll catch the next 150. I mean, like, it stretches on and on and on. And again, I love the Jays. I love anything that comes from Toronto, but I mean, I don't know, so many moments in my life. Once you guys hit the playoffs, I'll really invest because obviously it means a lot more when you're in the playoffs. It's more exciting. It's great, But I don't know. Will they make the playoffs again anytime soon? I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, who knows? I mean, they're doing okay now, but it could all change in a week. Who knows? But we shall see. Okay. Blue Jays, let's play ball. The Toronto Raptors. Oh, man. What can you say about the Toronto Raptors? We did excellent this year. In the season, in the regular season, we did phenomenal. We broke our record. And we go into the playoffs. We make it past the first round. It's cool. And then we have to face LeBron James again. Oh, shit. Well, surprise, surprise. For what, the 3rd year in a row now, we're out. And you know what? It's our fault. I can't believe people are going online saying, oh, it's LeBron James's fault. We got to take responsibility here. It's not LeBron James's fault. It's our fault. It's the player's fault. It's a little bit the coach's fault, of course. But But did Dwayne Casey deserve to get fired? Fuck no. I'll be honest with you, me personally, as a Torontonian, I am just disgusted he got fired. I can't believe it, honestly. I really can't. Like, I just keep thinking that, the awards are going to come up, the NBA awards. He's probably going to win best coach, and I don't know if he accepts the award. Like, what's he going to say? He's going to say, well, I'd love to share this with my team. Oh, yeah. But, like when any other team goes bad, or does really good and sucks for a little bit in the playoffs, I guess, it always comes down to the coach. And the coach is always the one that has to suffer. You can't fire players. You can trade them if you want. You can keep holding on to that dream. Okay, this is the year that these guys are going to come together and kick ass. But no, that no, 3 years, against King James. No, nothing, eh? Okay, yeah. So I just want to put this out there. Me personally, I do not blame LeBron James. I can't believe people just go on social media. Again, I'm old school. I'm one of these people. I just say things to people's faces. If someone says something to me, social media, I think it's the funniest thing ever. But unless someone says it to my face, I don't care. Obviously LeBron James is, he's not going to take this seriously, but I can't believe out of all the people they've decided to change in the organization, the first person is the coach, and they fired him. I'll be honest with you, it's been so far a couple days that he's been fired. I can't believe a team hasn't already scooped him up yet. I mean, I don't know. To me, this is like getting rid of like Phil Jackson. I'm just really shocked by this. I really am. I mean, out of all the people to blame, he gave us a great season this year and past seasons, and I just want to say personally, Dwayne Casey, thank you very much. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I mean, the only thing I can think of is this has got to be. I almost hate to say this, and again, I don't know this for sure, so don't quote me. But like when something like this happens, and a team does this well, and a coach leaves, it's probably because of the players. And I'm assuming that, again, I'm just assuming, but the players don't get along with a coach, and of course, who goes? The coach. So the players, probably had a big hand in this. Again, I'm not going to name any names. I think we all know, certain people, but I don't know. Shame on you guys, honestly. I mean, in the end, I've always learned in life, just respect your elders. I like a lot of times, like maybe don't agree with 100% everything they say, but the result is he gave us our best season. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, okay, so we lost 4-0 against Mr. King James again. Are we the first team in history to ever lose against LeBron James? No. Are we going to be the last? No. I mean, that first game we played was ours. We were winning, I think, at one point by at least 15 points. The last 5-10 minutes, which seems to be a running theme for some reason with the Raptors this playoffs, like the last 5-10 we always fuck up for some reason. I don't know what it is. And it's weird because I watched a lot of games in the regular season, and I noticed like the last quarter, like if anything, we would kick ass. It was almost like the opposite of the Leafs, where instead of falling apart at the end of the game, we would actually do better. So I don't know what happened. I mean, again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if this is just like a head fake. I mean, a lot of people, you'd be surprised. A lot of players do this on purpose just to fuck with their coach so they get fired. Okay, well, we're not, happy with you, and we're gonna, not play very well because of you, and because we want you out. Now, Dwayne Casey did sit out, I believe, Rosie for the last 5 minutes of the last game, which I was kind of surprised. I'm not going to lie. I mean, our best player should be in there. Although how much were we losing by, like 30, 35 points? I mean, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I don't know. I think we could have sat out LeBron James for at that time. I don't think it would have made a difference. But yeah, I just don't get this move at all. It's going to be very interesting to see if any of the players get traded, which my prediction is I don't think any of the players are going to go. If anything, we just need a very strong center. Now, we got a couple, good guys right now, but we don't have a good power three. If you look at any past teams, for the most part, they always have a strong, powerful three, and we don't have that. I mean, there's times where, Rosie and Lowry, I love those guys, I really do, but sometimes they just don't show up, and that's fine. But, we need the bench to support us. But, sometimes they don't show up as well, and it's just a combination of everything. If everybody stays healthy and plays good, okay, fine. Everything will work out. But this is a horrible move by the Raptors. I think we're really going to regret it, and I'm just curious to see who are we going to get better than Dwayne Casey. I mean, the way I see it is, okay, so if we fire this guy, so by this logic, whoever we get now is not only going to beat LeBron James, assuming next year we make it to the playoffs with this new coach, is not only going to beat LeBron James, but now we're going to get a championship, right? I mean, we shouldn't expect any less than that. Right? I mean, by that logic, if we get rid of a great coach, then I guess the next person we're going to hire is pretty much God, and they're going to take over and they're going to give us a championship, right? I mean, that's what we're expecting. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Well, let's see if that happens. I was watching the Raptors president there, Masai Ujiri, I don't know how to say his name, but anyways, he said it's almost like for Dwayne Casey leaving, it's almost like a celebration. It's a celebration for every other team, but not for us, man. I mean, I can't believe he said that. It's a celebration because now we're celebrating, all the great things he did for. I'm like, what are you, stupid? What the hell's wrong with you? A celebration, man, these sad faces I saw in the last couple days. I mean, holy shit. But all right, well, hopefully we celebrate something good next year. I remember watching the Raptors. The Raptors came in the league in 95, 96. And we had a pretty little decent team. I mean, we had great guys like Damon Stoudemire, John Sally. I think we had a pretty decent little team for our first year. I remember Ed Pickney, he scored our first 2 points by a slam dunk. So, I mean, if that doesn't get the crowd going, I don't know what does. But one thing I always do remember is that was the year that Chicago Bulls won 72 games at 82. So they only lost 10. One of the games they lost was actually against the Toronto Raptors that year. So I don't know. I always remember that. I always thought that was pretty cool. And ever since then, it's been, okay, we get some good players. We got Vince Carter. We got Tracy McGrady, and it's just back and forth. We got some good players. And then they're tired of playing here, and then they want out because they're promised, a better team. And that never happens. And it just seems like we're in that position again. So I mean, LeBron James is what, 33? He's been playing for what, 15 years? I mean, do we have to wait for him to retire for the Raptors to get a championship? I don't know. It's very possible. I mean, I don't know. It's sad to say that, okay, are you retiring this year? No, fuck. Okay, you're retiring this year? No, fuck. But hopefully, we can't just depend on one person retiring in order to just get a championship. So, my best advice to the Raptors is, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. Just apologize to Dwayne Casey. Get him back if you can, and just say, listen, I don't know what the fuck we were smoking, but get him back. I don't know, get Drake on the phone. I don't know. He's gonna have some connections or something like that, and let's see if he can have a little influence on getting some more players here. Let's get some more stronger players, to actually, stand up to LeBron James, like the Avengers in Infinity War there, and let's just see what happens. So go Raptors. I don't know why I said go Raptors. Do the Raptors have an official chance or I don't know. Is there a big speech? No. We are the North. Yeah, we are the North, and that's another thing. We're the only basketball team now. I mean, I don't know, Vancouver Grizzlies. We had who they have, that big white guy. I don't know. I forgot his name. I thought that guy was Brian Reeves. Yeah, like I thought that guy was Canadian. I mean, it was just ironic that they drafted a big white guy that looked Canadian. He looked like he came out of the Vancouver woods. Just chopping stuff. And all right, let's put him on our team. And yeah, clearly that worked out. And I don't know. He wasn't a bad player, but whatever. I'm just saying. I mean, now we're the only team in Canada. So again, it all falls on us. Good old Toronto. We are the North. Hopefully we'll climb way more up north next year, but we'll see what happens. Go Raptors, go. And the last team I'm going to talk about. My beloved, true to the blue, Toronto Maple Leafs. 1967. I am forever haunted by that number. Why? Because that's the last time the Leafs won a Stanley Cup. One of the original 6 teams in the NHL. That's the last time they won a Stanley Cup. My parents years ago went to go see a Montreal game, or a Toronto-Montreal game in Montreal. They were wearing the jerseys, proud, standing out amongst all the red jerseys, and people just kept yelling at them, 1967, as a cold reminder of how much suckage the Leafs have just endured over the course of time. Now, to me, there's 3 types of Leaf fans. I've basically narrowed it down to 3. So, there's one type of Leaf fan where they're dying Leaf fans. They will die with the team. They have blue running in their bloodstream, and nothing can convince them otherwise. You can't say anything to them. These are people that are descendants of Michael Myers and just not the killer, the guy in Austin Powers. They will not give up on the Leafs ever. They will just keep going and going and going. If the Leafs lose 12-1 in a game, it doesn't matter. We're still Leafs. We're still okay. We're still look good. It doesn't matter. We're still fine. Then there's another kind of Leaf fans. They hate the Leafs. They're not even Leaf fans. They're Leaf haters. They feed off our positive vibes, my positive vibes as Leaf fans. And they just always rub it in. Little comments like, I'm not a believer. The Beloozers. The Leafs suck. They will always suck. I'm a Montreal fan. I'm a Boston fan. Fuck off. I'm an Ottawa fan. Really, go fuck yourself. Really. You want to be haters, that's fine. Just don't bring that negative energy here, okay? We're trying our best. Then there's one more kind of Leaf fan. And these are the sneakiest motherfuckers of all. These are the Leaf fans that are Leaf fans. But they will never admit they're Leaf fans. These are the teams they root for. Buffalo, Winnipeg, Edmonton, everything that's around the Leafs. But they'll never admit they are Leaf fans. Why? Because they know we're a losing franchise for all these years, and they just can't admit they're proud to be Leaf fans. They're proud to be from Toronto, and they're proud to root for their team, no matter if they're good or bad. They don't care. And they're cowards. They'll never admit it. They used to be Leaf fans, like way back in the day. We're talking like Laney McDonald, Daryl Sittler, Johnny Bauer, God rest his soul. They loved the Leafs back then. And then over time, they just quieted down. And they will never admit that they are Leaf fans. Unless they win a Stanley Cup, which is yet to happen once again since 1967. Now, when I was growing up, really got into the Leafs. I mean, I've been in the Leafs all my life, but early 90s, those Doug Gilmour days, Glenn Anderson, Felix Potvin, the Cat. I mean, we had a really good run in that, I think it was 93-94 playoffs. And, that should have been our year. It really should have been our year. And another great player took us down, which seems to be kind of a running, actually now I know, seems to be kind of a big running theme in Toronto franchise history, where a big player always takes us down. Mr. Wayne, the great one, Gretzky. By the way, I want to go on record in saying that I think Bobby Orr is the best player of all time, not Wayne Gretzky. I love Gretzky, don't get me wrong, but Bobby Orr is the best player of all time. But I'll talk about that later on, maybe in another podcast. But anyways, Gretzky, like my dad said, I think he had some kind of device in his stick that literally brought the puck to his stick every time. And he just shut us down every time. And that should have been us in the final, and we should have won. And again, I'm a number one Leaf fan. I truly believe in the Leafs. And the other 2 and 3 ones, they're probably laughing their ass off as I'm explaining this. Because they can't believe that a Leaf fan, such as myself, will just still carry on like this since 1993 and 94. We'll just keep talking about this. We bring up all the glory days. And this seems to be the theme of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is that we just keep thinking, every year is just going to get better and better and better. And it doesn't. It either stays the same or it gets worse. And again, we have a $1 billion franchise. I can't tell you the last time I've been to a Toronto Maple Leaf game. I can't afford to go to a Toronto Maple Leaf game. I can't afford to sit in the parking lot in a Toronto Maple Leaf game. So there's no real, again, no purpose of them trying to get more players and better players that are suited for this team. What's the point? They're still making money. They always will. I always say what the New York Yankees is to New York is what the Leafs is to Toronto. Now, you can give shit to the Yankees about them always buying their team, but at least they're trying. At least they're trying, they're representing their city. They're trying to get a championship. Have the Leafs ever really, tried that hard to, buy, a really good player? And in the last couple of years, yeah, we've gotten really lucky in the draft, and, we got great players. clearly it's not enough. Now, I'm not saying get rid of these guys, but something's got to change. Our defense definitely has to change. Something, we need a good shakeup. We absolutely need something big to happen. And the city of Toronto deserves a strong franchise. Now, out of the four I just mentioned, let's just be honest. The Toronto Maple Leafs are by far the biggest sports franchise in Toronto. I don't care what anybody says. Maybe some Jay fans will argue with me, whatever. I don't care. The Leafs is a dynasty. They always say Detroit is hockey town. Bullshit. Toronto is hockey town. Always is and always will be. But as fans, honestly, it's partly our fault because we just keep giving in. Oh, okay, next year will be better. Whatever. We got great players like Matthews and Mitch Marner and Anderson. I still say that Anderson, you look at the last two playoffs, Anderson kept us in both series. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. I mean, I love Matthews. I love Marner. I love everyone else. But, Anderson is by far our greatest player. Like, if you look at all the times we have great runs in the playoffs, we've always had great goalies. Look at the whole back in the day, like I was talking about 93, 94, when like Felix Potvin was playing Curtis Joseph. I think in like less than 2 games, they had like each over 100 saves. Like, it was an insane series. It was a series of the goalies. We need to really not only just look at our team and like what needs to be improved. Like I said before, I think the two main things are definitely defense and toughness. And again, a lot of people argue, okay, yeah, it's not really a tough game anymore. Well, yeah, you know what? You tell it to the Washington Capitals. See how much ass they're kicking. They got some big dudes there, some big powerful dudes. So I'm going to disagree on that one. And keep in mind, when somebody's lacking something, it's not a tough game anymore, and then you put in a couple teams that are tough, guess which ones are going to dominate more toughness? So there you go. The Leafs, like I said, I get a little emotional about this because the Leafs are just, like I said before, the number one franchise in Toronto sports. And they're not being treated like they should be. At least not to the fans. The fans deserve better. We really do. And, I want to thank the Leafs this year for doing good. I really do, honestly, I honestly, on purpose, I wanted to play Boston because I just wanted to get back in them from what happened years later, in case, you've been living in a cave, whatever, 5 years ago, whatever. The Leafs were winning that last game in the playoffs, 4-1. It was 4-1, and then they scored another one, and another one, and another one. And it's like, oh shit. And then the OT came, and then it was 5-4. Me and my dad were just sitting on the couch, looking at the TV like, the fuck are we going to do till June, and that's it. I wanted my revenge. I really did, At least they fought back at the end there, but it just, again, wasn't enough. So, the franchise, the Toronto Maple Leafs, have to really sit down and think to themselves, what can we do to make the fans happy? What can we do to make this a championship franchise? I was born in 1982. My dad was 10 years old when they won the Stanley Cup in 1967. I would love to see nothing more but for a Toronto Maple Leaf player in my generation to lift up Lord Stanley and say, we did it. We accomplished something that hasn't happened in over 50 years. We did what a lot of people say couldn't be done again, and we did it. I want that feeling. The city of Toronto deserves that feeling. We deserve that for any of our teams. It's a great accomplishment. I always say when you add money into anything, it's no longer pure. Now, maybe a lot of the players and staff and coaches and presidents have forgotten about that. You know, in the end, it's just all about money. Okay, we make it to a certain point, you know. But you ask anybody, I mean, you make a lot of money in the playoffs. And that's where all the extra money and endorsements come from. But it's not just that. It's just like the feeling of having a championship, you know, to call our own. And like I was saying before, we got in baseball and basketball, we got one team for each. That's it. Which makes it even that much better, which makes it that much more Canadian. Which it just, you know, it honestly sounds cheesy, but it just warms my heart even thinking about it. Just, you know, I know eventually it's going to happen one day, but like, how long are we going to prolong this process? You know, enough's enough already. I want a championship team in Toronto. The people of Toronto deserve to see that. Will Toronto ever see a championship again?